Okay, let's travel back in time. We're going back 60 million years to a world that was ruled by a true monster. And its story, it doesn't begin with a roar, but with a single mysterious bone found deep in a coal mine. A discovery that would completely flip the script on what we thought was possible for life on Earth. This is the story of Titanoboa.
So, picture this. The asteroid has fallen, the age of dinosaurs has ended in fire, and the throne of the apex predator is totally empty. What kind of creature is going to rise from those ashes to claim it? Well, the answer is it's bigger, it's stranger, and honestly, it's way more terrifying than you can probably imagine.
Our story really kicks off deep inside Colombia's Cerrejón coal mine. But this isn't just any mine. It's basically a time capsule, the fossilized remains of a 60-million-year-old rainforest. And buried down in its layers of ancient rock, paleontologists dug up something that, well, it defied all explanation.
When this bizarre, oversized fossil was first found, nobody had a clue what they were looking at. It was just massive. Was it a bone from some kind of giant crocodile? Maybe part of a huge turtle's shell? Some people even thought it was just a piece of petrified wood. It was a total head-scratcher.
And this mystery, it just sat there for over a decade. The first fossil, found way back in '94, was misidentified and pretty much forgotten. It wasn't until 2007, when the whole collection landed in the hands of the right experts at the Florida Museum of Natural History, that the pieces of this prehistoric puzzle really started to click into place.
And then came the big aha moment, when scientists put the mystery fossil right next to a vertebra from a modern green anaconda, one of the biggest snakes alive today. The difference was just staggering. The fossil wasn't just a little bigger, it was 3 times larger and way thicker. There was just no denying it. This wasn't a crocodile, it wasn't a tree, this was a snake.
Okay, so now they knew they were dealing with a snake. The real work could finally start. From that one single piece of bone, scientists could finally figure out the true scale of this ancient beast. And for a creature this ridiculously huge, it needed a name to match: Titanoboa, the Titanic boa.
So just how big was it? By using these mathematical models that link the size of a vertebra to the total length of the body, the researchers came up with a number that's just hard to wrap your head around. The conservative guess put it at 42 feet, but the high-end estimate, an absolutely staggering 50 feet long.
To put that into perspective for you, Titanoboa was longer than a city bus, a living, breathing creature that could stretch from bumper to bumper and still have room to spare. I mean, that's a scale of life that's almost impossible to really picture, right?
But its unbelievable length was only half the story. The next question was, of course, how much did this thing weigh? Scientists ran the numbers, and they figured it tipped the scales at a jaw-dropping 1,200 kilograms. Yeah, that's over a ton, heavier than your average car. And maybe the most shocking comparison of all, it was 10 times heavier than the largest green anaconda we can find today. This wasn't just some big snake. No, this was in a league of its own, a totally different ballgame.
So this brings up the million-dollar question, right? How on earth could a snake get that big? Why isn't there anything even close to it on Earth today? Well, the answer isn't just in its biology, but in the actual climate of the world it lived in.
So to really get Titanoboa, you gotta understand this one key idea: ectothermy. You see, unlike warm-blooded animals like us, who make our own heat, cold-blooded animals, like snakes, need to get their heat from the outside world to fuel their metabolism. Basically, the hotter it is outside, the faster their internal engine runs.
And this is where it all comes together. 60 million years ago, the world was a hothouse. The average temperature in Titanoboa's rainforest was consistently over 32 degrees Celsius, day and night. All that intense heat basically supercharged its metabolism, letting it process food faster, grow way bigger, and support a body of impossible size. Our cooler world today, it just couldn't provide enough energy.
I mean, think about it. A 1,200-kilogram body needs a ton of fuel. Which brings us to the next puzzle. How did a creature this massive actually hunt? On land, it would have been impossibly slow, just dragged down by gravity.
The answer, and its secret weapon, was the water. Titanoboa was an aquatic hunter. In those murky swamps, the water's buoyancy just canceled out its massive weight, letting it move with a speed and a stealth that were totally impossible on land. It was less like a snake and more like a living reptilian submarine.
And its hunting style?
Pure crocodile. This was no pursuit predator. It was an ambush specialist. It would sink its colossal body into the murky swamps, perfectly hidden, with just its eyes peeking above the surface. It would wait, completely still, for hours, maybe even days, until some unsuspecting animal came to the water's edge. And then, bam! An absolute explosion of power as it would strike.
And here's the thing. Once it grabbed its prey, it wasn't just about suffocation. Biomechanical models suggest Titanoboa's constriction force was at least 400 pounds per square inch. Let that sink in. And if you're trying to picture what that feels like, scientists came up with a pretty terrifying analogy. Imagine having two full-grown African elephants standing right on your chest. The pressure was just absolute. Bones would just shatter, and life would be over almost instantly.
So what's on the menu for a predator this powerful? Well, you're not going to believe this. It ate other giants. Its diet included massive prehistoric crocodiles and huge turtles with shells over 8 feet wide, about the size of a big dining room table. Titanoboa wasn't just the king of its ecosystem, it was literally a monster that hunted other monsters.
Which, of course, brings us to the final big haunting question. If Titanoboa was the perfect predator, the undisputed king with zero natural enemies, where did it go? I mean, why would its entire empire just vanish?
Well, the answer, pretty ironically, is the exact same thing that made it so huge in the first place: the climate. The hothouse world started to change. As the planet gradually cooled down, Titanoboa's fate was sealed. The lower temperatures crippled its metabolism, making it slow and sluggish. Its huge swamps started to shrink, and new warm-blooded predators started showing up to compete for food. So its greatest strength, right, being perfectly adapted to this super hot world, that became its fatal flaw. A drop of just a few degrees in the global average temperature was all it took to doom the largest snake that ever lived. It just couldn't keep up.
And that really leaves us with the pretty chilling thought, doesn't it? Titanoboa was an ultimate survivor, an apex predator perfectly built for its world. And still, a climate shift of just a few degrees was enough to completely erase it from existence. Its story is this powerful 60-million-year-old warning about just how profoundly a changing climate can rewrite the rules for life on Earth.